We're talking about the best players who produce points. How far down the list would you go before you picked a Hurricane? Put that in your brain and think about it. Because ultimately, the one element that the Hurricanes have missed in the playoffs, there are several elements the Hurricanes have missed in the playoffs. But in terms of offense, we've been saying it every year. They have been missing that goal scorer. I would argue, not last year when they added Jake Ensel, 2 years ago, they recognized they were deficient in goal scoring, and they went and signed, or they traded for Max Pacioretty. Remember that? Remember the Max Pacioretty acquisition?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Bona fide goal scorer, postseason producer, works in the interior of the ice, tight spaces. And we were all like, yeah, if he can stay healthy. And then he didn't stay healthy. He blew out his Achilles, in the 5th game, I think it was. So they lost the guy that they brought in to do that. And the organization didn't replace him. That was the year they went to, was it the outdoor game? I think it was the outdoor game season, right?
Mm-hmm.
The outdoor game season. And they got through that and through the trade deadline, did not replace Max Pacioretty. They could have used long-term injured reserve and replaced, they would have had something like, $8 or $9 million to go out and add pieces to that team. They chose not to. And then Andrei Svechnikov got hurt. Right? This all computes now, right? So the team that knew that they needed extra goal scoring and went out and got it, and then had that extra goal scoring get hurt, chose not to replace it, and then lost the player who was supposed to be part of the goal scoring. So the Hurricanes have not had the rosters that you think they've had. They've had good rosters, really good rosters, but they have not had that element. Carolina plays in such a way that makes the most out of the talent that they have got. Over the years, that's what they've got. Now, over the last couple of years, they are starting to add more dynamic offensive pieces to it. Seth Jarvis comes up, right? Jarvis is, I don't think we have to wonder what Seth Jarvis is going to be. But I also think that Seth Jarvis is not going to be a top 15 or 20 NHL scorer. He's not Kirill Kaprizov, right? He's not Mikko Rantanen. He's not Nathan McKinnon. He's not those guys. And if you look around the league, there are a fair amount of those guys on other teams. What Carolina needs, I said it a couple of years ago in the offseason, you can add all you want. Carolina will get better from within. The players that they have already will drive them forward. And about this particular team, they added Mikko Rantanen. There's a promo running right now about my thoughts on getting people to pump the brakes on just how good Carolina can be. I know what it says to people about Mikko Rantanen. You added Mikko Rantanen, you are all in about winning a Stanley Cup this year. I would argue that they're interested in that every year. They think about it differently than you do, because I know how they think about it. They think about it in terms of percentages, which is why they didn't go out and add, because they're not just going to add because they think you want them to add. They're going to add the right pieces as they see. And they look at it as, we're not going to mortgage future for a 1% greater chance of winning. That's how they process it. You can think what you want about the system and all of that, but that's how they process it. And I may disagree with them on that, and for the most part, I do. But this team is getting better. Jackson Blake represents another talented offensive piece that will be better going forward. Right now it's pretty good. Will be better going forward. And Taylor Hall adds to the mix. But the Hurricanes are largely going to be as good as two players on their roster right now. And they're two players who have been here for the entirety of the Rod Brind'Amour era. They're going to be as good as Sebastian Aho and Andrei Svechnikov. Promise. If those two guys start playing to their potential this year, the Hurricanes will be in the mix to win a Stanley Cup. Promise. But we'd be fools to think that they have to this point. And I don't believe any of us are fools. Those two guys. And last night, those two guys were
Unfortunately.
That's it.
Yeah.
Aho can rely on being a great two-way player. He can impact the game in ways that don't hit the score sheet. He can rely on that. And I love Sebastian Aho. I hate criticizing Sebastian Aho, but he needs to be better. And Andrei Svechnikov needs to be better. By the way, for all the people complaining about, well, it should have been goaltender interference in the last goal. Go watch the highlight of the last goal and then explain to me what Andrei Svechnikov is doing on it, because he quit on the play. Not only was he behind the play to begin with, but he thought that the play was over, so he stopped playing. So the guy he could have just decked in the crease legally, he let score the goal. These are the types of things that right now are holding this team back.
Not good.
If Aho and Svech play better, Carolina's in good shape. If they play as they are playing now, yeah, I think it's going to be a struggle. I do. I think it will be a struggle. Mikko Rantanen's problem is not Jackson Blake. In fact, the best chances that Rantanen has had for the most part, not all, have come because of Jackson Blake. Right now, Aho hasn't been as good. Maybe he's trying too hard. I think you can try too hard. In a sport that demands fluidity, I think you can try too hard. And that's not about effort. That's about pressing to score, pressing to create. I hope they figure it out. Maybe they'll figure it out in the Four Nations tournament where they're going to be teammates. 2 more games before the break. At Minnesota tomorrow, home against Utah on Saturday.